Thank you guys for the opportunity to come and talk to you today. Something you might not know about me is that when I was younger, and when I say younger, I'm talking like ninth grade younger. So not terribly young, but I was a lot different back then compared to who I am now. One of my dreams was that I always wanted to be a pastor when I grew up. I told everybody back in the day, yeah, that's what I want to do with my life. I want to be a pastor. I want to grow up and I want to be able to, lead a big group of people, together, follow them through Christ. And that was like the dream of mine. As time has moved on, that's kind of morphed into something else, and it's not necessarily my main focus anymore. But I remember a story from when I was in ninth grade. I believe it was, I'm not going to say her name because that would kind of be embarrassing. We'll give her a name that might make sense to some people. We'll call her Miss Shower Curtain. And in ninth grade, in Miss Shower Curtain's class, we were doing a certain project that it required everybody to know what you wanted to do when you grew up, what you wanted to be, what you wanted to make of yourself. And she went around the room and she pointed to everybody and she's like, what do you want to do? And back then, we were younger. Everyone had their own separate crazy dream. Everyone wanted to be an actor, a musician. Some people wanted to be a firefighter, a policeman, a doctor. Everyone just wanted to be everything under the sun. We were still kids. We just wanted to do, the things we'd always dreamed of doing. And for me, that was to be a pastor. I wanted to be the pastor of a church. And keep in mind, I was the new kid at this school. I didn't know anybody coming in ninth grade. I went to public middle school in 6th through 8th grade, and then I came in as a new kid to a class of 30 people who had known each other basically their entire lives. And so, not knowing anybody, I kind of wanted to, do something that would make me fit in with these people. And so I took on the class clown persona of my class in all of high school. 9th through 12th grade, I was the class clown. And so I had that persona, and then she goes around the class, and she's asking everybody what they want to be when they grow up. And she gets to me, and I'm sitting at the front of the classroom, probably because I was talking, and that's what always happened. I always got put at the front of the class. And I was really confident. I couldn't wait to tell her that I wanted to be a pastor when I grew up. I was like, I want people to hear this. I want people to just know that I am on fire for God, and I want to lead people. It might have been more prideful than it needed to be, but she said, Trey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And with extreme confidence, I said, Miss Shower Curtain, I want to be a pastor. She paused for about 2 seconds, and I was like, did I say something wrong? And those 2 seconds passed, and she just started laughing. And I was like, what did I say? And it wasn't like, a slight chuckle. It was like condescending, super loud, obnoxious laughing at what I had just said. And it was sad because that hurt me, but it got worse. As soon as she started laughing, the entire class started laughing too. They started laughing, and even my friends at the time, they started laughing. And I was like, guys, come on, I can do this. I have the ability to do this. Sure, I might not be the best behaved kid in the class, and sure, I might not be, the stereotypical, mold of what you can imagine as a pastor. And I mean, I wasn't, and I never have been, and I don't ever want to be. I want to be different. But for someone who was growing up and wanting to just, follow his dream, that hurt. I'm not going to lie. And that was it's something I remember to this day because of how much it kind of not scarred me, but it just simmers down there. And you're like, it makes you think, am I really good enough to do this? Am I really qualified? And okay, another thing that happened, and I swear I didn't plan to come here and completely, roast my old school, because I love my old school. I think my experience there was great, and I know some people don't like it. They didn't like it. They had different experience there than I did, and that's fair. It's not I don't share the same opinion, but to me, I thought it was a perfect place. It shaped me into the man that I am today, and I'm forever thankful. I'm talking about Hampton Park Christian School. That's where I went. But another thing that happened, and this is senior year, I believe, but my friend Cameron, he comes up to me one day, and he's like, hey, we're doing this thing for chapel. We had chapel every Tuesday and Thursday, I think. Yeah. And he's like, hey, it's the student-led thing. Do you want to speak for 5 minutes and talk to the students about something that's on your heart? And normally I'd be like, no, I'm okay. I don't want to do that. I was very hesitant. I never really agreed to do stuff that was out of my comfort zone. But Cameron, he's the kind of person who doesn't really take no for an answer from if he's asking about something like that. So I was like, no, I don't know, man. He's like, no, come on, you got to do it, man. I was like, no, I don't think so. He's like, no, you're going to do it. And so, okay, I was going to do it. And I got up there that day, and I spoke about something that was super, super, like, it was on my heart, and I cared about it a lot, and I thought it went really well. I thought people enjoyed it. They responded to it well, and I left that day, or not that day, excuse me, that chapel period, and I left, and in the midst of all the chaos, my shirt had come untucked from my khaki pants. And if you have been to my school, you know that, when your shirt came untucked, you might as well have been smoking pot in the middle of the hallway, because that was like a cardinal sin. That is still probably a cardinal sin at Hampton Park Christian School. I know my brother and sister go there now. They changed the rule. You don't have to tuck it. Really? Wow, that's awful. I got out at the wrong. Are you for real? That's. I'm cool. Yeah, but my shirt had come untucked in the middle of all the chaos of the day that had led up to my 4th hour class, which I believe was with a teacher who we'll call her Miss H, because that's her name. Her name was Miss H, and she wouldn't care if I told this story, because she actually apologized immediately after the same day, because she realized it was kind of what happened was kind of unfortunate and probably not what she should have said. But I walked into the next class, and she noticed I had my shirt untucked, and she had been in chapel, and she had heard me speak, and she was like, she noticed my shirt was untucked, and she basically said something, I can't remember the words exactly. She's like, if you're going to be disobeying rules like that, you have no place speaking to people trying to lead them in the right direction. Keep in mind, yeah, okay, sure, my shirt, I untucked my shirt on purpose sometimes. I wasn't the best behaved kid. But this time, this was an example of when my shirt had come untucked accidentally because of how chaotic the day had been before. And that just, it hurt. Like, it really, really hurt. I remember I just dwelled on it the rest of the day. But like I said, the only reason I say her name is because she did apologize to me after that happened. And she did say, that wasn't the right thing for me to say. And I do appreciate that. She's a great person. And she was one of my favorite teachers there. We had a love-hate relationship. I'd walk into school one day and it'd be like, is today going to be a day where she loves me or hates me? It's either one or the other. There was no in between, and people in my class can vouch for that. But all that to say, as I start to go into the actual message, is that there are going to be people, in your life that are going to doubt you. They're going to say you're not qualified to do certain things because of how you look, how you act, dress, whatever it might be. They're going to say you're not qualified because of blank. And you can't let that stop you from doing what you want to do, because if you do, then there's going to be a lot of people that miss out on what you have to say. And there's going to be a lot of people that need to hear what you have to say that aren't going to hear it if you give up because of the doubts of some other people. And while I'm not a pastor, I'm not a preacher, I'm nothing like that. I will say I don't think, Miss Shower Curtain, she'd be laughing quite as hard if she knew me today as she was back then in 9th grade, because I didn't let the words she said about me stop me from chasing after what I believe in. So now that I went ahead and got that out of the way, let's pray before we get started, and I'm going to go into the actual message. Dear God, thank you for this opportunity to speak to all these people. Thank you for my friends that came today. That means a lot to me. It means more than they know. I pray that you speak through me today, and anyone that needs to hear what I have to say hears it and receives it. And I hope you bless everyone in this room and continue to bless us throughout the rest of our lives, Lord. It's in your wonderful name we pray. Amen. So a little about me. Obviously, my name is Trey Stewart, his son. I'm a sophomore in college at North Greenville University. I'm a digital media major. I tell people digital media, a lot of people don't know what that is. It's just journalism. I want to be a writer, like a reporter. That's what I'm going to school for, is to be like a beat reporter. That's like a dream job. Like a sports reporter that just follows, follows teams or follows, the biggest games around. That's like my dream. A dream job for me would be to be like a writer at ESPN.com. That's the best way I can put it. But, being in college and all, life is, I'm just pretty much one big giant ball of stress. And that's normal, because in my honest opinion, college is one of the most, obviously I haven't gotten to my adult years yet, but college might be the most, stressful 4 years that, someone goes through, because you're trying to figure out, who you are, what you want to do, how you're going to do it, and you're balancing so much at the same time. Like, for example, financially, I have to pay off a new car that I just bought by bagging people's groceries at Publix for 25 hours a week. Academically, I'm trying to stay afloat in the hardest semester of my school career so far, because if I don't, then I'm going to lose my scholarships, and that's going to make the financial aspects of my life even harder. Socially, a lot of the relationships that, I thought were going to last like a lifetime, thought they were going to last longer, they're starting to kind of fall by the wayside. I'm starting to have to figure out, like, who am I as a person? Like, what is my crowd? You know what I'm saying? Romantically, we don't even need to talk about that one. Mentally and emotionally, that's another story for another time, but I'll just say that because of the aspects I mentioned above, both my mental and emotional states, they haven't been the best lately, and they've been a lot of areas where I used to see joy in my life. They're struggling. Like, I don't see the same light in certain areas as I used to. And to be honest, if I'm transparent about the way I see it, and it's what we're going to be talking about today, I'm kind of stuck in a bit of a spiritual valley, like, of my own. I mean, God and I we're still in communication consistently, but it's more of like a, come on, Lord, like, what are you doing? That kind of communication. It's not really the right kind of communication is what I'm trying to get at. And I've been, struggling to see the same kind of joy in areas that I used to see joy in all the time. But before I go any further, I do want to make something explicitly clear. My life, by most standards, is pretty darn wonderful. Like, it really is. I have amazing parents, and though we have our fair share of disagreements about clean rooms and all that stuff, they pour into me and invest in me, and they love me to death. And I know that, and sometimes I'm not the best, I'm not the best son to them, but I do appreciate everything they've done for me, because not many people are lucky to have parents like I do. I mean, I get to come home every single day to the open arms of 3 ridiculously adorable, a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 1-year-old sibling. And they look up, okay, at least Micah looks up to me. Micah looks up to me, and I come home every day, and he'll scream my name when I walk in the door and come give me a hug. And stuff like that, it makes, the harder days, it makes them a lot easier when I have something like that to look forward to when I come home. And just in general, my life is not by the world's standards something that is to be complained about, if that makes sense. It's not a bad life at all. I go to an awesome university. People at that university, they care what I have to say. They've given me, in a sense, like a little bit of like I don't want to say like a platform, like as big as this stage is, like that low of a platform. Like, it's not like I'm some oh, he's up here and like everyone else is listening to him. But people do appreciate the words that I write and the things that I have to say. And that is something that I've never really had before, but I have it now, and I can't, thank God enough for that, because it like means the world to me that people listen to what I have to say and like care about it, And like I said, by most earthly standards, I'm pretty well off and I have just about everything I could ask for. But I have to make something else explicitly clear. That's that I still struggle. I still struggle like crazy, like overthinking everything that I do. I seek the approval of other people so gosh darn much that I often lose myself in the process. And I oftentimes don't feel complete if I don't have a, like a companion, in a sense. And I struggle a lot with loneliness sometimes. Like, that's one of my biggest issues right now, and I'm going to get to that later. But I don't know. I really dislike when people think that just because someone is well off in terms of, tangible things, oh, they have like money, they have, a great family, they have a great life at home, that they can't still struggle, internally, because people can have everything and still have nothing. Like, they can have everything, but inside they could have nothing. And sometimes that's how I feel. I feel very empty a lot of times. I feel like, I'm not trying to be like okay, I am trying to be super transparent with you, because that's what I'm here to do, but I feel like there's an emptiness like in my heart, so much. And like I said, on the outside, people will probably be like, why? Like, you've got it all, dude. You got it all, kid. Like, what the heck do you have to complain about? And I don't know, it's just, that makes it harder in a sense for people to take me seriously, if that's the right way to put it. But let me explain. I told you I was in a spiritual valley, but I do want to talk about the first like spiritual valley that I found myself in for most of my life until recently. I mean, sometimes these spiritual valleys, they come from like circumstance, they come from things that have happened to you that you can't help. Sometimes you lead yourself into your own valley because your mind gets the best of you and it convinces you of some very like dark thoughts that are rarely ever true. But the thing about these valleys is that they don't last forever. And what's important is never how you got there. It's never how you ended up in that valley. It's what you do when you're there. It's how you get out of that valley, and it's how you use that experience to make your life better and make the lives of other people better. And what I want to do is I want to look at a biblical example of someone who stuck through what may be the single darkest valley in recorded history. It's in the book of Job, chapter 1, beginning with verse 6. It says, "One day when the angels came to report to God, Satan, who was the designated accuser, came along with them. God singled out Satan and said, 'What have you been up to?' Satan answered," this is the Message version, by the way, if you couldn't tell. "Satan answered God. He said, 'Going here and there, checking things out on earth.' God said to Satan, 'Have you noticed my friend Job? There's no one quite like him, honest and true to his word, totally devoted to God and hating evil.'" Now, I am somebody who loves, I like getting compliments, I'm not going to lie. It's affirmation that I'm doing something good, and that what I'm doing, is like, it's beneficial to other people. I like getting compliments, but at the same time, I'm also really awkward when I receive compliments. Someone could come up to me after the service, and they'd be like, "Hey, you did a great job preaching." And I'd be like, "Oh, thanks, you too." I'd be like, "Wait, no, sorry." And then they're gone. It's like, I feel like an idiot. But imagine someone complimenting you the way God compliments, Job here. Like someone on earth compliments you like that. Now imagine God complimenting you in that way. "Have you noticed my friend Hudson? There's no one quite like him. Honest and true to his word, totally devoted to God." Imagine God saying that to someone like you. How humbling would that be? And it really makes you realize just how great of a man Job was. But of course, Satan doesn't really buy it. And this is why I love the Message version. Satan retorted. I love that word. "So do you think Job does all of that out of the sheer goodness of his heart? Why, no one has ever had it so good. You pamper him like a pet. You make sure nothing bad ever happens to him or his family or his possessions. You bless everything he does. He can't lose. But what do you think would happen if you reached down and took away everything that is his?" God then told Satan he could take away everything Job had, but he couldn't hurt Job. And thus, Job enters his spiritual valley. And boy, does it get hard. Boy, does it get tough. And you see, not everyone's spiritual valley is going to be like Job's. Not everyone's going to lose every dollar they have. Not everyone's going to lose all their children, their family, but everyone's spiritual valley is valid. And just because something that someone else is going through on the outside may not seem like it's as big of a deal to you, it doesn't make it any easier on the inside for the person you may feel is going through less. So let me explain to you what my first real spiritual valley was. Where do I start with this? Let's go to 6th grade. 6th grade, I am a weird, really, really weird loner kid at Greenville Middle Academy. I was just a weird kid. I didn't have any friends. Most days I would sit at, I'm not trying to grab pity from you guys, but most days I would sit at lunch by myself. I didn't have a group of friends that I could always count on to be there. It was kind of sad. But we did this thing in my 6th grade science class. I remember it specifically. It was called Invention Convention. And the deal was every middle school student in, I think, all of Greenville County had to create some sort of invention that they came up with on their own. They'd make it, talk about it, and they'd bring a little trifold board with their invention, down to the Bilo Center. They'd bring every student from every school down to the Bilo Center, and they'd all go place their inventions on tables down at the floor of the Bilo Center. I remember I did that, and I went with my school. And I mean, literally every 6th grader in Greenville County is at the Bilo Center. And if you've been to the Bilo Center, also, it's not called that anymore. This was way back in the day. But you walk around, and it's just a big circle. And what they would have when you walked around an invention convention is a bunch of different pop-up things. They had honestly just really random stuff. There was a Just Dance competition for the Wii that was going on. I don't know why they had all this stuff there. But as I walked around, I was walking by myself. Again, I hate I'm trying to grab pity from you, but put yourself in my perspective. I'm a weird loner kid. I'm walking around by myself. World's huge. I'm just looking at everything that this place has to offer. And I walked past this group of guys. And this is so embarrassing for me to tell. But I walked past this group of guys, and they're talking amongst themselves. I'm like, okay, just head down, eyes to the floor, don't look at them. And one of the kids, he goes, "Hey, kid." I'm like, okay, he's probably not talking to me. Just keep walking. I don't look up, and then again, "Hey, kid." It's like, okay. social anxiety is a big deal for me. I'm bad with this kind of thing. And I'm like breathing in, like, okay, breathe in. He probably dropped something. He's probably gonna give it back to you. He's probably just gonna give it back to you. I turn around. It's like, hey man, how's it going? Like really awkward, really, really, really awkward. And he goes, this is so embarrassing. He goes, kid, I don't know who you are, but I just wanted to tell you, you are extremely ugly. Yeah, and that's not a joke. That's 100% true. And it's something, I remember to this day. And for anyone underestimating the power that words can have on people, that weird 6th grade loner kid who heard that one comment basically wrote the undertone for my life for the next 7 years. That was it. That was what I dealt with for the next 7 years because one person said that about me. And I thought to myself, man, I gotta be just the most atrocious looking creature on planet Earth if someone that random, someone I don't even know, someone I'm never gonna see again, has to tell me that. I assumed that I never looked good. I avoided mirrors at all costs. I hated when I saw myself in pictures. I was like, I don't want to see it. If someone took a picture of me, I'm like, keep it. I don't want to see it. I assumed, no girl could ever love someone that looked like me because, like I said, if someone that random that had no idea who I was felt the need to tell me that, then I had to just look like Steve Buscemi level, not good. And in all fairness, I did look a lot different back then. I was a little overweight. I say little overweight, like I was overweight level. I would come home from school every day and down an entire bag of hot Cheetos or nacho cheese Doritos. Not this bag or this bag, the family size bag, meant to be split by a family over the course of a week. I would down it in one single night. And it's like it was kind of my own fault that I was overweight. It was my own fault that I was overweight. But I was also trying to pull off, it was 6th grade, Justin Bieber was this brand new thing. He was like 16 at the time. Like everyone wanted the Justin Bieber hair. Maybe it might have been just me, honestly, because I thought it was cool. Everyone wanted the Justin Bieber haircut. I had like the really long skater hair, the skater haircut, and it just didn't work. I tried to wear all these Hollister clothes. It wasn't me, and all I'm trying to say is that I did look a lot different back then, and I did, I may not have been I wasn't, people's sexiest man alive. That's all I'm trying to say. But I did stay in that spiritual valley for the next 7 years of my life, all because of what that one kid, who I never saw again, said about me. And, I felt like I was always hard to look at, always the most atrocious looking human being in the room. Was that ever true? I hope not. I don't think so. But I couldn't convince myself otherwise, no matter what. I couldn't. Until my freshman year of college, just last year. God opened up a way out of that valley for me. So like I said, I'm studying digital media at North Greenville, and that involves a lot of writing. I have a professor named Gopal, really, really weird guy, but really nice guy too. He's really sweet. He decided to put together a team of very skilled individuals. It was me, Hudson, Grace, and our other friend Chris, who's not here today, but he wanted us to go down to Nashville and be a part of a film competition up there that I think it was NRB, like National Religious Broadcasters, were putting on. And it sounds cool. It's like a trip to Nashville, with the 4 of us. We were good. We were friends. We were good friends. And we're like, yeah, of course, we'd love to do that, Gopal. That sounds great. And so we went up to Nashville for this competition. We were required to come up with an idea for a short film, 3 minutes or less, revolving around the theme of hope. And so I'm the script writer. So basically, it starts with me. We can't do anything else until I write what's going to be on screen, until I write what's going to be, I'm not trying to be it's because of me, no. But it couldn't have happened if I didn't do my job first. And so, I'm sure you remember Grace. I locked myself in a room, put AJR, my favorite band, on repeat, and I just wrote and wrote and wrote, and God spoke to me as I was writing, the script for that video, more than I think I'd ever felt him speak to me in my entire life. He basically told me, this is what you need to write about. You need to be on camera saying this. This is your struggle. You have dealt with this for 7 years. This is your way out. This is what you need to create. You can beat your struggle with self-image and the way you felt about yourself by writing this and giving other people who struggle with the same thing an outlet and a way to relate to that. And so we grinded filming. We filmed all night long. We were up literally 8 hours straight, I believe, just filming nonstop, editing, recording. I had to record lines to talk over, it's film stuff. It's complicated, but we went to work and we came up with something that, honestly, I am more proud of what we came up with than I think anything I've ever been, proud of myself doing in my entire life. I'm going to show you the video, but once it finishes, I'm going to explain to you like what the aftermath of this video, I guess, coming out, and us putting that video out there, what the aftermath of that was. So go ahead and play that for me.
In the world we live in today, social media is a blessing and a curse. Every now and then it makes us feel better, but more often than not, it leaves us feeling worse. We all would like to be happy with ourselves, with the way that we look, the way that we act. But the mirrors that we see ourselves in become cracked, because the only thing social media presents us with nowadays is doubt. When all we look at are the cropped, filtered, and edited masks that are put out by everybody for everyone to see, we start wondering if we really have our lives together or not. Do we? We look at a perfectly put together, beautifully edited, flawlessly polished post or picture on social media, and we forget that the most important quality in ourselves is one that social media can rip away: confidence. Without confidence in ourselves, the brightest moments seem dark. We hark on our failures and keep missing the mark, but the complicated journey we embark on called life becomes even harder for us to navigate through. So if you can't see yourself and be happy with you, you'll never be happy with whatever you do. How can we tear down the walls that our enemies lift when our own worst enemy is who we see when the camera is flipped? It's been said that only a real risk can test the reality of a belief. But when that belief is that you aren't good enough, attractive enough, important enough, what we'll often find is that the beliefs we had were nothing but a lie planted by society, and the lies that we create privately have no basis at all. But when we remember that each and every member of the human race is fearfully and wonderfully made, we find beauty in ourselves in ways that we would have never seen before. So take a look at those around you. While most of us, we joke and we laugh for a while, as we stand in the presence of others in denial. But the minute we find time, we wipe that fake smile off our face and we put ourselves on trial, as the darkest thoughts in our head run wild. So make sure you've shown love to everybody you've met, because even the tiniest things can have the largest effect. Spread hope and spread love in everything you do. Give compliments for accomplishments or whenever you want to, because your life has the power to make others feel new. And who knows, maybe that person blinded by doubt is you.
So after that video came out, also, just side note, it's not normally how I talk. I was struggling with strep throat that entire trip, and when I had to record the lines, my voice sounded a little weird when it came out, and I realized that, but that's completely aside from the point, just wanted to clarify. After that video came out, it racked up 17,000 views in the span of 2 weeks. And while that certainly isn't, viral video status, I used to make stupid little YouTube videos with my next door neighbor Eli, and when we put those on YouTube, they'd get about 17 views within the same time period. So 17,000 within 2 weeks, that was incredible. And people were messaging me, and they were coming to me saying how they related so much to what I was speaking about in the video. They told me they felt the same way, and it's like they hadn't really had it articulated or verbalized until now. And one thing that this did was it made me realize, okay, I have a passion for this kind of thing, like spoken word in general, and just like poetry, that kind of thing. I have a passion for that. I think I'm pretty good at it. I mean, not to be arrogant, but I think I'm pretty good at it. And another thing is that through being reminded that I'm not alone in the struggles, but the people that came to me and were like, hey, I relate to this too. Thank you for putting this out there. I'm proud to say that after that, I beat my 7-year struggle with self-image. And in that valley that I was in for 7 whole years, I used that struggle to do what I love to do anyways, which was writing and speaking. And through my writing and speaking, other people were reminded that they weren't alone. And through other people reaching out to me and saying that how much this video meant to them, it helped me to finally escape the valley I spent 7 years of my life in. And let me tell you something, knowing that being in the valley for so long, learning so much about what it was I was struggling with, it helped me to end up being able to speak life into other people and lift them out of the same struggles. That makes every last second that I spent in that valley hating the way I looked worth it, and so much more. Because you see, just like with Job, God will allow things to happen to us that will refine us as human beings. And even through all that Job went through, he never stopped praising the name of the Lord. Not even once. It only strengthened his faith in God even more. And that brings me back to the spiritual valley that I am in now, which I mentioned was loneliness in a sense. But to be honest, I won't go into it at all because there's no need to. But recently, my best friend of 5 years, him and I, we went our separate ways. And sometimes there's more hard feelings on mine than I think there should be, and I'm still working on that. But we went our separate ways because of, just differing reasons. And life happens and all, and I can't sit here and say that no one else has experienced anything like that, because of course I'm sure most people have lost a best friend at least one point in their lives. But this was so different to me. As I mentioned earlier, I grew up throughout middle school as a loner. I basically had no friends whatsoever, definitely no one that I would consider to be like a best friend. And, the moment that I came to Hampton Park in 9th grade, he took me under his wing. He was like, basically showed me that I wasn't going to feel alone at the school, that he was going to be there for me. He was going to be my best friend. And that was just, I never had that in my entire life. I never had someone, care enough to take me under their wing and really just show me that there was no need to worry or be fearful about this new environment, because there was someone that was going to be there for me. And I met a lot of my awesome friends through this person. Like guy back there behind the camera. I met him through this best friend. And I don't know, while me and this best friend had our fair share of differences throughout the duration of our friendship, most of the time I never felt the type of brotherly love that I had felt, with this person. And we had our lives planned out. We were going to be the best men at each other's weddings. We were both extremely creative people, and we were going to use those gifts God had given us to reach so many people together. So many of my best memories involve this person. And like I said, to be honest, bitterness tends to get the best of me looking back at the situation, even though it shouldn't. I should be thankful to God for the 5 years that we got to spend being best friends, because they were really, like I said, there were some rough times. We had our differences, but it was a good 5 years. I've never been as close to somebody as I have been to this person. And like I said, it ties into my spiritual valley currently, which is loneliness. And it's still going. And, I'm consistently telling God, please just go ahead and pull me out of this. I want to be done with this feeling of loneliness. I want this feeling to be over. Please give me somebody, Lord, whether it's a best friend, a romantic companion, or, both wrapped into one. I'm constantly praying, God, please just get me out of this valley. I don't want to be here anymore. This feeling sucks. And, oftentimes what I find myself praying for is that I find the one person for me, Like everyone believes they have I believe it. I believe that I have my one person, the one. The person I'm supposed to spend the rest of my life with. And I pray for that all the time. Because to be honest, in my eyes, I can never do anything, significant through writing or speaking or whatever. I can never do anything of importance. My name could be the most relevant name on the face of the earth. But at the end of the day, if I'm the best husband to my future wife, and I'm the best father to my future children, and I lead us to follow God in all that we do, I can look back when I'm 80 years old and confidently say that I lived a beautiful and successful life. So I constantly find myself praying that God will give me that person, my person. But I find it so ironic. It's so rarely do I, or anyone else for that matter, pray the right way. We consistently ask God for things. Can I have this? Can I have that? It's always, at least for me, God, give me the right girl. Give me the right person to walk into my life. And I always pray for God to give me that, or to give me different things. But do I ever pray to God that he will help me to become equipped to handle the right thing when it comes into my life? Think about the story of the prodigal son. The son never really asked the father. He never said, Father, please equip me to be able to handle this inheritance the right way. Help me to be able to do with it what you want me to do and what I need to do. He just said, no, please. He begged and begged and begged. Please just give it to me now. I just want the inheritance now. I'm done. And you know what the father said? He said, okay, you can have it. It's all yours. And we all know what happened. He screwed up majorly. God gave him exactly what he'd always prayed for. The father gave him exactly what he'd always wanted and always prayed for, but he didn't know how to handle it. He blew it on, bad stuff. He blew it on bad stuff. And you see, just like in the prodigal son story, God could give us exactly what we are looking for. If we ask him enough, you know what? Be like, God, please, I just want this so bad. Please give it to me. Like, I just need this now. He might, it's not cruel. It's good that he does this. But he might be like, okay, it's all yours. Take it. You can have it. The right person could walk into my life right this second, and I could screw it up completely because of how much I'm not ready to handle that. The right person could walk into my life, and God could be like, yep, you see how much you aren't ready to handle this? And take it right back away. That's painful. That sucks. I'm going to be honest. That is just the worst feeling, thinking you're ready for something and praying for it, and then finally, feeling like you've received it, and then it's gone, just like that. And like I said, it's not because he's a cruel God that he does that. It's because he's a good God. Because no matter how much I pray, to find the right person, and find the right person for me, if I'm not the right person for them, what good is that? If I'm not the person that they need in their life, if I'm not their one yet, if I haven't become their one, what good is it? I mean, every single person in the video we watched beforehand, the music video, they probably had moments when they prayed to God, please, just please take this eating disorder away. Please heal me. Please bring this cancer into remission. Please just take this pain away from me, God. For me, it was please, help me to not want to throw up every single time I look at a mirror, God. Please help me not want to be sick every time I see myself. I hated that feeling. I prayed that one all the time. I was just like, I can't do this much longer, God. This is horrible. Like, I'm in this valley and I've been stuck here for 7 years. Like, please get me out. And consistently, I found myself, instead of praying, that I needed to, instead of praying for him to walk with me, work within me to show me the purpose to this struggle, because I know everything that happens and everything we go through for a reason. Instead of praying that, I just pray that he'd take me out. I pray that he'd get me out. But he needed me to spend more time in that valley. Because in that valley, it refined me into the person that was able to speak what I spoke in that video, that was able to say things that, helped other people to draw them in, and it helped them to relate to something that they hadn't really been able to articulate before, like I mentioned. Those 7 years I spent struggling with hating the way I looked, hating everything about myself, that made me into the man that I am today. And it's why, instead of praying that, God just pulls us out of our valleys, that God just pulls us out of those hard times, pray that he gets us through the hard times. Pray that he walks with us through them. Because if we pray that he walks with us through them, he will. He always has. He's always walking through us. He's always walking with us through everything. Whether it's up here, whether it's down here, it's the same God. Our circumstances may change, but he never does. And I'm sure as the people in that video, they began praying for God to walk with them through their valley instead of immediately pulling them out, they began to be refined. Their testimonies began to strengthen. And then finally, when his cancer was in remission, or when her son grew up and lived far past what the doctor said he would live, how much stronger was the testimony of those people? How much more impactful is their story now that they can say, yeah, it looked dark for us. It looked bleak. All hope was almost lost. But we didn't stop praying. We didn't give up our faith in God, and look what he did for us. A testimony like that can reach so many people and can speak to the hearts of so many people. I mean, you have absolutely no idea. Everything we go through in life, it is an opportunity to grow from it and to use that growth to reach other people for God. And just like when the world was telling these people, you should probably give up. There's not much hope for this. When everything in their life was going wrong, just like Job, they didn't curse God. They didn't lose faith. They persevered through their valleys, and God walked with them every step of the way. And finally, he showed them the way out. After they'd been refined and had become the person that God put them in that valley to become. Because that's what he does. He doesn't put us in valleys for no reason. He puts us in valleys because he knows that once he gets us out of them, we're going to be better people for it. Once he pulled them out of those valleys, he knew they were equipped. And as they became equipped, those people were now able to reach some that they never may have had the opportunity to reach before. You see, as God put me through 7 years of self-hatred, all from one stupid comment that one kid that I never saw again made at invention convention in 6th grade. God put me through 7 years of that awful feeling just feeling awful about myself. He worked and worked and worked and worked and worked within me until finally he showed me the way out. He gave me the opportunity to speak life into people through that video that I would have not had the opportunity to reach had I not felt the pain of hating everything about the way I looked for such a long time. And maybe you haven't been diagnosed with cancer. Maybe the doctors aren't telling you the life of your newborn child is in jeopardy, but maybe you've been hurt, abandoned, lied to, anything. Maybe you're just going through it right now. Maybe it's a pain that you can't even really describe, but there's just so much unexplained strain inside your heart and inside your chest, and you just don't know why it's there. It's just so much anxiety, and you feel like you can't handle it anymore. You have to give it up. I guarantee you at one point, everyone in that video wanted to give up. It could barely see the point of what they were going through, of what they were hurting from. They may have been close to giving up the fight and giving up the faith, but I guarantee you that every single one of those people looks back now and is so freaking thankful that they didn't. Because not only are they better people for sticking it out through that valley, but they have the chance to make the lives better of those that are hurting as well. And that valley that God put them through helped them to become the people that would be able to help those same, the ones that are struggling with the same thing. And I think part of the thing that we struggle with is that we think God switches up on us, God's never once switched up on us. Our surroundings and what we're going through, it's going to change all the time. I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago, 5 months ago. I'm probably not even the same person I was 5 days ago. But God never changes, even though we do. Our circumstances and our surroundings, they will. But the same God, like I said, the same God we praise on our very best days when we're on the mountaintops is the same one that holds our hand and guides us through our valleys. Whatever it is that you can't escape that has a hold on you, it's not going to last forever. And that's what I'm trying to, that's the point I'm trying to get across today. Is because these hard times, they're making you, whatever you're going through, they're making you into the person that you were always meant to be. The person that God is going to use to speak into the lives of others and guide them in the right direction. Because what we can't forget is that the spiritual, mental, and emotional valleys we find ourselves in, they are not eternal. What is eternal is God's love for us. So please, as I wrap this up, that was kind of quick. This is a pretty quick service. So I wrap this up, keep pushing and keep praying for God to walk through this valley with you. Because eventually, when you see exactly what the purpose for the pain was, you're going to realize just how worth it every second you spend inside that valley really was. Let's pray, and then y'all are good to go. God, thank you for everything you've done for each one of us in this room. Thank you that you gave me the opportunity to speak to these people today. I hope it went well. I think I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I was very nervous coming into this. Thank you for pulling me through. I pray that as we leave here today, we'll remember that if we're struggling right now, whoever it is, whatever it is, that it's not going to last forever, and that in the midst of our struggle, we have a chance to grow, and we have a chance to become the people that you've always wanted us to be. And then I pray that even as I leave today, and I, keep walking through what might be considered a spiritual valley, I pray that I can use this time period to grow as a person, and so that when I am given the opportunity to, whenever you do present me with that one person or that way out of this, valley of loneliness, I pray that I'm ready to handle it, Lord. I pray that we're all ready to handle whenever you want to pull us out of the valleys that we're in, Lord. Please continue to work in the lives of everyone in this room today and everyone that we meet. I pray in your wonderful name. Amen.